From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Al-Taji. It's Tuesday, August 19th. Here are today's headlines. Hamas has agreed to an Egyptian-Qatari proposal for a 60-day truce in Gaza and the initial release of 10 Israeli hostages. That's according to sources who spoke to The National on Monday. They said Hamas has told the Qatari and Egyptian mediators that it's dropped the condition for a written U.S. guarantee that negotiations with Israel would continue to secure a complete withdrawal and a long-term ceasefire until an agreement is reached. Besides the 10 hostages, Hamas has also agreed to hand over the remains of 18 others who died while in captivity, the sources said. It was not immediately clear whether Israel would also agree to the proposal. It's repeatedly been stated in recent days that Hamas must surrender its arms and its leaders must leave the territory. A Hamas delegation has been in Cairo since last week for discussions. On Sunday, sources told The National that Egyptian and Qatari mediators had revived a proposal for a 60-day ceasefire and the release of 10 hostages. That was part of a last-minute effort to avert an Israeli ground assault on Gaza City. News of the new ceasefire proposal broke as Israel is preparing to send troops into Gaza City, where about 1 million people have sought shelter from the war. The Israeli Security Cabinet had approved plans for that assault just over 1 week ago. The U.S. has called on Israel to honor its ceasefire with Lebanon. U.S. Envoy Tom Barrack said Israel must honor its commitments under a ceasefire that ended its war with Hezbollah. This comes just under 2 weeks since the Lebanese government formally approved the disarmament of the group. Barrack said, quote, "The Lebanese government has done their part. They've taken the first step. Now what we need is Israel to comply with that equal handshake," unquote. He made those comments after he met President Joseph Aoun in Beirut, joined by Morgan Ortagus, U.S. Deputy Special Envoy to the Middle East.
So the next step is we need participation on the part of Israel, and we need an economic plan for prosperity, restoration, and renovation of everybody, not just the South, for sure.
The National's Jamie Prentis reports.
U.S. Envoy Tom Barrack has essentially put the onus on Israel to honor its commitments under a ceasefire deal that it agreed last year with Hezbollah. And Mr. Barrack basically said the Lebanese government has done its part by taking the first step, formally announcing a timeline and which would ultimately lead to the disarmament of Hezbollah. But now he's saying that the ball is in Israel's court, that the US will now be discussing with the Israelis what their position is and what should happen next.
The Lebanese government approved the objectives of an American proposal to disarm Iran-backed Hezbollah. The move was historic but controversial. There are strong fears that Israel will escalate its attacks on Lebanon and expand its occupation in the south of the country further if progress isn't made on disarming Hezbollah.
So this visit by the US envoys comes only days after Iran's security chief Ali Larijani was in Beirut, where he met Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem, and he basically told Lebanese officials that Tehran expects Hezbollah's arsenal to remain intact because of an increasing chance of a new war with Israel. Hezbollah, for its part, has strongly rejected the Lebanese government's push to disarm it, and it's believed that Ali Larijani's visit to Lebanon is what prompted the US envoys to come to Beirut.
Jordan has partially reactivated its conscription program, and new details have emerged on how that will work. Officials have revealed that the program will start in February with 6,000 recruits. They'll serve for a mandatory 3 months and be paid a basic salary. The conscription was last imposed in 1991 when Jordan was technically at war with Israel. The National's Khaled Yacoub Oweis reports.
The move comes amid the war in Gaza and Jordanian fears that the conflict will spread to the West Bank and that Israeli pressure on the Palestinians could force another wave of refugees from Palestine, especially the West Bank, to Jordan.
Jordan had had a peace treaty with Israel since 1994 and is a major recipient of U.S. aid and military support.
The announcement of the resumption of conscription is seen as an external act designed to send a message to Israel, as well as to the internal Jordanian public, that Jordan will not hesitate to take a tough stance considering the tensions in the region, particularly in Palestine. However, this is not a full-fledged conscription such as the one that existed before in the 1990s and 80s and throughout the modern history of Jordan.
The army said the program would start with men born in 2007, and that those who are not called up will have to obtain postponement permits to allow them to study or go abroad. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow our live coverage at thenationalnews.com. Yasmin Altaji, The National.